Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You know what's funny? When you're traveling more or less into the blue, how sometimes fate helps you out, you know? It's really fascinating. Anyway, we are around Göteborg here, to the north of Göteborg actually a little bit already. And I placed the camera down here on a solid block of granite. So I suppose there is a lot of granite here around, and I suppose there's also a lot of climbing, some climbing at least. I heard that there is some traditional stuff and that there is some, you know, sports stuff bolted here. And yeah, maybe we can find something out about this, you know. But first of all, how did we even get there, you know? From the Aktienbuch, which was the last update about the trip, so to say, I think. We went to Berlin. Now, this was a pretty tough ride, super flat. It's really interesting how it's so far away. You make so big hops on the map, but it doesn't actually feel like such big of a trip, even though, you know, I'm driving pretty slowly. I only drive always 100 kilometers per hour because I find that's a convenient speed, and also sometimes you can sneak yourself behind a truck or something and save a lot of fuel actually, because I have a little bit of a measurement in my car where I can see how much fuel I'm using per 100 kilometers, you know. Making this big hop on the map, although you are not driving that long actually, you know. And the reason why this is, I realized, is because here the motorways, they can go in such a straight line. They can go in such a straight line because there are no obstacles, you know. In Austria, where I live, there's always some hills, some mountains. It's going up and down, left and right, you know, rivers. A lot of diversity on the landscape, so to say, on a very tiny space. And this makes traveling, it makes it more tedious, you know. You have more obstacles simply. And that's why you wind yourself around and then you drive a long time, but you don't get anywhere on the map, you know. So this is completely different here, I found. Then in Berlin, pretty big city. Same story here, super stretched out city, man. I didn't have the feeling of a high, you know, population density at all, simply because the city is stretched out over such a vast area, you know. I don't know, I think it's about 45 kilometers from east to west and about 38 kilometers from north to south, which is crazy big, but it has only quote-unquote 3 million citizens. So yeah, I found that really interesting in comparison with a city like Vienna, for example, which I think is a lot smaller than Berlin, or it felt at least feels a lot smaller. I don't know, to be honest, but it doesn't feel less populated because it's a bit denser, you know, simply. And also the inner city, you know, the historical inner city in Berlin is super stretched out. In Vienna it's quite tight together, you know. You can basically see everything you have to see in, like, I don't know, half an hour maybe, half an hour walk. But anyway, we went to Berlin, met some cool people, met some old friends there. Had a really nice bowl session in a gym called Der Kegel, which was great as well. Unfortunately, they don't allow to film there. Otherwise, I would have filmed the session. We tried some pretty cool problems. It was a lot of fun. And on the same day, I decided to keep moving, hop into the car again. So I spent about 2 days in Berlin, which was also pretty cool. And then, I had basically the decision: do I want to go over Hamburg and then do all the landway around Denmark to the Scandinavians, or do I just want to go to Rostock, take the ferry and hop over this way to Scandinavia, you know? And I decided for the latter, simply because it would be a bit faster, and, you know, I mean, it's not that I'm in a hurry, but I would like to go north quite a lot still. And I don't have so much time, you know. I mean, we're gonna talk about that in the future as well. I don't have so much time. But yeah, went to Rostock, pretty interesting city. I mean, interesting, it's just another big city. It's a lot bigger than I would have expected. So that's Rostock. I gotta say, I like that style, you know, with the roofs, the roof patterns and stuff like that. Pretty beautiful. Good stuff, nice. It's a little bit, you know, it has this cozy feeling already, and I can already feel that northy, you know, that northy vibes. It's a lot, you know, it's raining and it's moist. It's a little bit fresher. It's cooler. Reminds me a lot of, you know, when I was in London for 1.5 weeks, which is actually quite some time ago already. But yeah, nice place. Gonna explore a little bit more, and then we see what the ferry does. Huge harbor, a huge haven. I spent the night there, then hopped onto the ferry the next day, hopped over, and went to Gedser, which is the little town on the other side, basically in Denmark, you know, that you get to from Rostock if you take the ferry. Land in Sicht. My friends, we just hopped over the East Sea from Rostock to Gedser, I think is the name of this place that we're driving off now. It's crazy how fast these things move, man. It's just like, it's gotta be like, it's for sure above 50 kilometers per hour. I don't know, I have to Google it afterwards. Maybe you can tell me in the comments down below. But anyway, yeah. Let's explore Scandinavia. I think actually we are still not on Scandinavia, because we are in Denmark still. Copenhagen and Malmö are gonna be the next stop, so yeah, should be interesting. Already excited. Copenhagen. Oh, now it starts to rain again, so we have to move under the tree maybe. I went to Copenhagen, from there over the big bridge to Malmö, which was also an interesting experience. I didn't visit these cities a lot, you know, I just drove through, so to say. I'm taking the camera now because it starts to rain again. The weather here is not ideal, it's raining on and off. There's a lot of wind. There's another thing that I've learned, man, when it's so flat, and it's basically flat all the time, you know, Denmark is super flat, and also the southern part of Sweden on this, you know, this thing that's hanging down there is also super flat. And of course there's a lot of wind all the time, you know. It's completely different to Austria, where you most of the time shed from the wind by some mountains or something, and this explains why there's these wind wheels everywhere, you know, these wind generators. So now we go into the car, because here it's getting a little bit uncozy, so to say. Let's make the radio shut up. Anyway, so we're in Copenhagen, we're in Malmö, and there I tried to get some CNG, found out that CNG is super expensive in Sweden actually. Oh boy, almost 20 crowns per kilogram. That's pretty much 2 euros per kilogram, which is absolutely crazy, because that's double as much as in Austria or Germany. So we're only gonna tank as much as we need to get to Norway. This is gonna make Manny the very poor monkey very soon. But yeah, again, it's another story. Then taking a huge ride, man. Taking a huge ride towards in Göteborg. And Göteborg, man, it looks like this dot on the map, you know. It's a huge city, man, and just along the distances, you know, from Malmö to Copenhagen is 300 kilometers. This is the same distance then from Vienna to Salzburg, you know. It's basically half of Austria you can cross when you go from Vienna to Salzburg. In Sweden this distance is nothing, man. So you hop from Malmö to Stockholm. Is that right? No, not Copenhagen. How am I always mixing up those cities, man? They sound all so similar. Göteborg, that's it. You hop from Malmö to Göteborg. Huge ride, super flat all the time. And here now in Göteborg, actually, it's getting a little bit more hilly, and these granite things come to the surface. So I suppose there is some stuff here around, actually. But I have no idea, of course. I have no internet with me. I have no smartphone, as you know. So what am I doing? I'm driving to the north of Göteborg, searching myself a little bit of a rest because it was very late already, get some sleep, and today I wake up. First thing happens, I get out of the car, brush my teeth, and all of a sudden 2 Jehovah's Witnesses, 2 young Jehovah's Witnesses are standing in front of the van and saying, "Hey man, what's up? Do you want to read this?" Of course they gave me something to read, Erwachet. Wake up, wake up. Jehovah is the true one, Immer im Stress? Of course, always in the stress. The thing is, they asked me what I do here, and of course I told them I'm a rock climber, I'm doing a little trip around Europe, and sooner or later they got out their smartphones, typed the stuff into their stuff, and the other guy was a rock climber as well. He rock climbed in Australia, which is pretty cool as well. So he knew where to look for this stuff, and then he gave me basically a list of all the cracks which are around here. The only thing that I need to know now is, and an internet site, which seems to be pretty practical. The only thing that I need to know and that I need to find out now is how I to get an internet and to see where these spots are exactly on the map. And he told me that basically at any McDonald's or other spots there's free Wi-Fi. So we're gonna try that out. Although I do have bad experiences with these free Wi-Fi's, quote unquote, in the past because they never work properly. But yeah, maybe that's different in Sweden, because Sverige is such a progressive country, such a beautifully progressive country. So progressive, my friend. Anyway, I just wanted to talk a bit about that because this is how sometimes fate helps you out, when you travel into the blue. You're traveling into the blue and you basically have no plan. I mean, I have somewhat of a plan. I want to go to the north, okay, that's all I know, and visit the spots that come across here. And then all of a sudden these 2 guys, I mean, how big is the chance, How big is the chance that 2 Jehovah's Witnesses are standing here on this completely empty truck rest on the motorway, encounter me, I don't know, super crazy guy driving around in his van looking for some information essentially, and then they give it to me, I might have to become a Jehovah's Witness now because of this incidents. Yeah, but and that's really funky, So now I have something to work on again, So now I have something to follow again. The other thing too, in Germany it was the same. When I was switching from the Czech Republic to Germany, close to the Elbtal, I was basically traveling into the blue. I didn't even know where the Elbtal is, because it's actually a bit away from the motorway, so you can't see it. And I didn't have, I don't have internet. I can't find it out just in an instant. I drive basically with a map into the blue, and what happens, I get off somewhere before Dresden because I didn't want to get off in Dresden, because always when you get off in a big city, then you have to worry about where you're gonna park your car, where you're gonna sleep, because there's lights everywhere and stuff. So I like to sleep out of the cities actually, or at least at the at the outer borders of the city, where you can at least park your car for free and where you're left alone basically. So anyway, I just get off the motorway before Dresden, and it so happens to be that I get off exactly at Heidenau, driving on the street, basically into the blue, no idea, just looking for a space to stay, a place to stay. And what happens? I'm coming across this small climbing gym. There's a small climbing gym there. I had no idea that it is there. But of course, what I did, I parked there. I went in, said hi to the staff, and asked if I could, throw a little bit of a few in their climbing topos. And one of these guys was Michael, Michael, with whom then I discovered the Elbtal a couple of days later, which was another awesome adventure. So this is how there's a saying, I think in German, dem Reisenden hilft das Glück, or something. Dem Reisenden hilft das Glück, which means luck helps the traveler, the traveler is helped with luck. And this is really true, man. The less you plan, the more, fate goes in and just carries you along, makes things happen. And that's amazing, especially in the context of meeting new people, making all these new experiences, and making these adventures. So anyway, I hope to see you soon in the next one. Hope you're having a great time as well. Bye, my friends. Bye.